Hey, you're here with Dr. Jodi, and this is Anxiety. I'm so done with you. I am so excited about this podcast. It's an accompaniment to my book by the same name, Anxiety. I'm so done with you. It's a teen's guide to ditching toxic stress and hardwiring your brain for happiness. Because that is what we're going to do in this series. We're ditching that freaking toxic stress and hardwiring your brain to generate happiness every day. This is what you do. You read or listen to a section of the book, then come on over here and listen to an episode where we're going to go a little bit deeper, give more examples, and tell more stories. I want to give you everything you need to be sure that you find your way out of this horrible anxiety cycle so that you no longer have to suffer. Please leave me a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. That'll help me get in the ears of more people who need this series. Mental health problems are skyrocketing, especially among teenagers, and this series is going to change the tide. Welcome to the beginning of our journey together. This is chapter 1, section 1 section of the hyper in this monkey mind. So grab your notebook and pen because I'm about to download some details about that hyper monkey that is wreaking havoc about the benefits that you're going to get. In this episode, we're going to cover the huge capacity of the human mind, including I'm going to tell you what a monkey mind is. I'll share the 5 steps to curing how and why the monkey mind intensifies, but magnifies and worsens your problems. And get rid of it too. We'll go over how to change negative thinking and how to stop overthinking everything. And I've also made some YouTube videos on this section, so you can head on over to my YouTube channel at Dr. Jodi and check those out too. To happiness. I go live every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Here's what you're going to get from this book. So if you have questions for me, practical skills for your brain, body, and spirit. Of course, each podcast episode has a blog post where you can leave a comment, as well as you can comment on any one of my social media posts. A fulfilling life purpose. The link to all of them are in the show notes. Trust and connection. We're just getting started on chapter 1 here. Chapter 1 correlates with step 1. Understand it those sound like lofty goals, and I'm not going to just do that because in this chapter, I'm going to help you understand it culturally, emotionally, contextually, in addition to biologically. The title of this chapter is It's Not Me. This is what I've come to understand in 25 years. Because when we have problems, we are so focused on what we're doing wrong people that's caused those problems. The first person and this focus on deconstructing I'm not living yourself. Like this. I don't like that this means at all. Tearing yourself figure it out and do whatever I have to do because I'm getting rid of this. Anxiety. I'm not doing it. You focusing on yourself is exactly what the anxiety wants to happen. Because that's how it gets power over you. This is me. If you don't understand anxiety or depression, it stays in power. I guess I just have to learn to live with it. You'll notice that I'm personifying anxiety. What do you think anxiety. I'm going to say about these two people? Because that is how I think about it. Person 1 who decides that they're going to get rid of it. It's not even a part of you. They get rid of it. It's something they do what they have to do and they get rid of it. When you think about it this way, person 2 to help you get rid of it. This is just how they're going to get rid of something that's you. They keep it. Right? Well, anxiety is not you. The difference is believing that you can change. The goal of this chapter is to demystify anxiety. It makes me think about one of my favorite quotations from Henry Giving the power over yourself and your emotions or back to you. You're right. That's how I'm different from other people helping you out with anxiety. Whether you think you can, you may have learned skills to calm yourself down or reframe a situation. Next, let me tell you about my personal and social anxiety's power. Because you're probably like, who is this person giving me all this advice? The first thing I want you to be really transparent about who I am. My name is Jodi. I go by she, her. Capacity I'm a white, heterosexual, it can think of 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts a day. I have no visible or invisible disabilities. And in modern times, we really don't have totally that aware that those identities that think about of unearned we don't have privilege. To find food or build a house. I also have many more things in my life that give me like privilege, our first like being married to a good person for 20 years. Our brain evolved for millions of years before we had construction companies and grocery stores. Any of that for granted. Right now in our life, we have less thing about me is that I've been a social worker so there's for 26 years. Gap. We have this a social worker is kind of like a psychologist, not much to think social about. Workers think about people. The human mind wants to fill that gap, and it does it by making things up. So we care about social justice issues and how they affect our physical and emotional and spiritual well-being. Are negative. I also call myself a psychotherapist.
The good thing
which
is
just
this
means I
means
use
that
talk
you are
therapy.
not crazy.
That's the kind of therapy
Your
that you
experience
usually
of
think
negative
about when you
thinking
think about
is part
going
of
to
being
therapy.
human in this
Now,
modern
how about
world.
you? Who are you?
So let's
Every
talk about the monkey
podcast
mind.
episode has a
The
blog
metaphor
post
of the monkey
that goes
mind
with it,
is
where I put the
attributed to the
transcription of
Buddha.
the show,
The Buddha
and then
used
more
it to
resources
describe
that
mind
go along with
chatter.
the episode.
Just like a monkey
The link
swings,
is in the show
grabbing
notes.
one branch to another,
I want you to come
our
on over
mind
there
swings,
and share with me
like we're
your
grabbing
social
one
identifiers,
thought, going
a
from
little bit
one
about
negative
yourself
thought to
in the
another
context
negative
of your
thought,
life.
increasing
And then,
our
tell me
emotional
about an
chaos.
accomplishment that has
And the
made you
hyper
really
energy
proud.
of the monkey lends to
One
the
of my
metaphor.
professors did this the first
It
day
gives
of
you the
class,
sense
and
of
it
that
was really
urgency to
powerful.
grab one and
I'll
another
go
and
first.
another.
One of my
It's
greatest
important to
accomplishments
note
is my
that the
close
monkey
relationship
mind
with
in
my
this
kids.
metaphor is
And
not your
probably a
feelings
close
of
second
sad or
is
angry or
publishing
scared.
5 books, even though
But
I
it's the
have
thoughts
dyslexia.
and stories that are
And
us
getting a
trying to
doctorate
make
degree.
meanings around the
When
sad
I was
and
young,
the
I
scared and the
always thought of
angry.
myself as a bad
And
writer and a
it's
bad
the thoughts
reader.
and stories
And so
that are
these
us trying to
accomplishments
make
feel
meanings
really, really
around
good.
the thoughts about
I'm
being
telling you all
sad
about
and
me and my
scared and
social
angry.
identifiers because
It looks like this.
affects perspective.
You have a feeling.
When a
Let's
person is
pretend
not
it's
aware
sad.
that their identities affect perspective,
away, you
they
think,
risk
why do I feel
rendering
this bad?
other people's
What's wrong with me?
perspectives
Why can't I do
invisible.
this?
This,
How long am I gonna
unfortunately,
feel
is
like this?
endemic in
How
our
come
society,
I always feel
and
bad?
I don't want to do that.
I'm totally overreacting.
I'm sharing my
here.
positionality to
Another
acknowledge
metaphor
my
often
privilege
used is
so
the rabbit
that
hole.
it could be dismantled.
The rabbit hole means you
You
get
and I may
lost
be
in this
different in some
underground
ways or
maze,
similar in
going
some
from
ways.
one spinning
I might
negative
never meet
story
you,
to another
but
spinning
it doesn't
negative
matter.
story.
I want you to know that I see
the
you
monkey
anyway,
mind
and I am
intensifies your
speaking to
problems.
I'm going to tell you over
way
and
I
over in this
explain the
series
monkey
that
mind
anxiety
comes with
comes
a
out of a
visual.
context.
If you are
In
listening
social
to
identities,
the audiobook,
cause the context
you know
of
that you could
power
come on over to the
differences.
book resource
And that
page
power
and
differential for
download that visual
intersectional
on
and
PDF
marginalized
called
identities
𝔼𝕞𝕠𝕥𝕚
cause oppression,
self-judgment.
trauma, and
You could get it at
inaccessibility.
jodiamen.com.
And as a social worker and as a psychotherapist,
So
I've
take a look at
witnessed
this.
the effects
Or
of this
let me
for
paint
over
a
2
picture in your
decades,
mind.
and I know
So imagine
we have to
heartbroken
speak
as a
about this
circle
in order
that
to heal it.
represents so many
And
units
to that
of
end,
emotional
if
pain.
you hear anything in this series that makes
don't
you feel
just have the
excluded
feeling
or
of heartbroken,
invalidated,
because right
I'm
away
really
your mind
sorry.
says,
And
why
I'm
does
open
everyone
to
leave me?
and
How did I
appreciate
mess this
any
up? Am I
feedback that you wanna give
overreacting?
me.
I'm not good enough for someone
Before
to
I
stay
tell
with
you
me.
my anxiety
Those
story,
are the
I
negative
wanted to mention
self-judgments that come
something
right
that you
away
might
when you
have
have a
already
negative
noticed.
feeling. Because
I'm
we're
lumping anxiety,
uncomfortable
depression,
and we think,
anger,
oh no,
sadness,
this
worries,
is
and
not okay.
irritabilities
Our
all
monkey
together.
mind is trying to protect
I'm not
us, so it's
making light
trying
of
to
these
figure
by
out
doing
what
that
went
because
wrong.
they're all horrible.
Right away after
All
those
of them
negative
are horrible.
self-judgments, which
However,
are also
all of these
represented
act on you
as
in
circles
similar
of
ways, and
emotional
I'm
units of
lumping them
pain,
together
but they're
on
bigger
purpose
than the heartbroken,
in order
and
to
there's more of
minimize the
them.
power they have
Right
over
after
you.
that, you
Does that
get
sound good?
worries. I
All
don't
right,
think I can
let
handle
me
this.
tell you about
I
my
think I'm
journey
gonna lose
with
my
anxiety,
mind.
which
Oh no,
started when I
oh
was
no.
just 5
How long
years
will
old.
this last? How
So
am I going
back
to do
then,
this?
my father, my
These
sister,
are
and I
bigger
were in this
circles of
father-daughter
emotional
event,
pain,
and we were
and they
learning about
come
the
and
presidents,
circle
Lincoln and
the
Washington,
negative self-judgments,
because it was
which
February,
have
and that was their
circled
time
the
of the year
heartbroken.
that we all learned about them in school.
Right away,
And on the
we
way
get
home
more
from this
negative
event, I
self-judgments
remember
on top
thinking
of
about the
those
lesson
worries.
and what we were
I
talking
can't
about,
believe
and I
I
was
can't
like,
do this.
huh,
I'm so weak to
I
have
don't
this bother
see
me
those
this
guys
much.
around anymore.
Other people would
So
be
I asked
over
my
this by
dad,
now.
where are
This
the
is
presidents
all
now,
my
Daddy?
fault.
My dad's face
You can
got really
imagine
pale,
how
and his neck
small
got really long.
comparatively is
and he
that
said,
heartbroken circle
"They're dead."
compared to
And I
all
was
of
like,
these circles,
"What?"
which are bigger
I mean,
and
because I
greater
knew
number.
I could read the
From this
energy in his face
illustration,
and his
you can
coloring
see
and his
how our
voice.
problems
I knew
intensify
that there was something
and
really, really
magnify
wrong
and worsen
with being dead.
because of these negative
And I also read
self-judgments
his
and
fear
worries,
of how to
not
explain
because
it to
of the
me as a
original
5-year-old.
feeling.
So I said,
You might be
"What's
wondering
dead?"
why this happens.
And he said, "You sleep. You don't
Again,
wake up. You're
our
gone
mind
forever."
evolved for
I don't know
millions
exactly
of
what he
years
said, but
to
it was
problem
something like
solve,
that.
to adapt,
But I was
to
so
survive.
overwhelmed with
Your
this
mind
idea and
wants to make
startled
sure
by
it
this
doesn't miss
concept that we could
anything that
leave
it
each
needs
other.
to do to
That this was
protect
not
you.
something that will last
But there's
forever,
less
and there
things
was
for it to
suffering
do.
in this
So
world.
it's looking
And
for
of course, I was
things
so
to
lucky
do,
as a
things
5-year-old
to worry
not to
about,
experience
things to
something
judge,
drastic
things to
and traumatic
assess.
up into that point
And
in my
even
life.
when it makes them up,
This was
it
my
makes them
introduction
sound
to anxiety and
really
my introduction
real.
to knowing
It's like
that
when the
there
anxiety
was
says, but
suffering
what
in this
if?
world.
It's possible,
I was
right?
overcome.
It's possible.
I cried
What if it
and cried and
happens?
cried. I guess as a
The
5-year-old, I
problem
really got
is
that concept
that the
of,
hyper
oh my
monkey
gosh,
mind
something
gives you
could
the
go
sense
wrong
that you
and I
are
have
constantly
no control
vulnerable,
over that.
keeping you distracted and
over the
figuring
next
out
20
what's
years,
wrong.
I had
And in
anxiety
doing
come and
so,
go in my
it
life.
makes you think
Sometimes
that
it was
you
so
need
intense
it.
that I lost
This
tons of weight
monkey
because
is
I
a
couldn't
major
eat. And I
obstacle
really
to your
withdrew and I
recovery.
wouldn't go out.
Right
But I
now,
couldn't be
you may
alone
be
either.
worrying
I
that
couldn't go
if
to
this
sleep
is
alone.
normal,
My mom had
then
to
do I have
stay
to
with
just
me
live
all
like
the
this?
time. And back
This
then
is
I
a
was in the
human
70s
reaction
and 80s,
to living
and
in this
people
modern
really didn't know
world.
what it was.
But it's
I never
operating
even called
below
it
your
anxiety
understanding.
back then.
I only
now
knew
that
it
I'm
was
telling
anxiety
you,
as I got
you
older and I
understand
could
it.
look back
You
and I
change
knew
it
what was going
because
on.
mastering
But back
the mind
then,
is
I didn't know what it
learnable.
was, and I didn't really
Let
understand
me illustrate
it, and
the
neither
monkey
did
mind
any of
with
the
a couple
adults
more
in my
stories.
life.
I once
So
knew a
over the
15-year-old
next
who was
20
dumped by her
years,
boyfriend, and
I
she
would
was
go into
understandably
episodes of
sad
anxiety, and
confused
then
and
I'd come
hurt.
out,
And she kept
not
saying that she
really
was not
knowing my
handling this well because she
participation
was
in when I
upset.
was anxiety-free
Being
and
upset
when I
is
had
not
really
wrong in
intense
this
anxiety.
context. But
I
her
thought I was
anxiety
just
told her
a
that she
passive
couldn't do it.
recipient of this
She
happening
assumed
to me.
that handling it
And that
meant
didn't
that she
change
wouldn't
until I
feel
was in my
bad.
20s, and
So
I
she
was already a
concluded
social
that she
worker.
must be wrong
And I was
for
in a
feeling
clinical
bad.
meeting as a therapist,
One time my
and we
sister
were
and I were
talking
talking
about
to my
our
mom,
hardest cases.
and she was telling us a story
One of
of
my
a friend who passed
coworkers
away.
was talking
And
about
it was a
their
really
client that
tragic
had
story, and
anxiety.
she was telling
And
us
they
all
were
about what
talking about
happened
what this
in the
person was
interaction
going
she
through
had
and how
during
much they
that
were
time.
struggling.
And then
And
she
I
said,
just started
I
to
just can't
panic.
get over it.
And I was thinking, I'm a
I
social
really
worker.
can't get
I'm
past
supposed to be
it.
helping people.
And I was like,
and I
Mom,
can't even help
it
myself.
was a week ago.
And I started to have
We
this
really have
huge
very little
panic attack right
tolerance for
there
our
in that
negative
meeting.
feelings because
And
we
I was
think
really
that
trying
they're
to keep
wrong.
myself in control.
And then we start
in
to
the
judge
here
them.
and now.
And what
But
happens
I
when we
was
start to judge
losing
them
it.
is we get the
And
monkey
so I
involved.
had to get
And
up.
we
I
attach
couldn't
to
sit
them.
there any
They
longer.
actually
And I had to
intensify,
get up and I
magnify,
had to
and
get
worsen.
out of there. I wanted to leave so
Let's
bad.
talk about
And
the
if you've
best
ever
way to
experienced
stop
anything like that, you
overthinking.
know exactly
You
what I'm
need to give your
talking
mind
about.
something to do to
I
stimulate
was always
that
running
prefrontal
away from
cortex.
anxiety because
You need to give it
anxiety
an
was this
interest
big,
or
scary
inspiration or
monster
some
that
kind
was
of spark.
constantly chasing me.
The
And I
prefrontal
just
cortex is the
ran.
adapting mind.
Little did I know
The
that
more
that
you
was really
engage it,
giving it a
the
lot
more
of
you can
power
use it to
because
override
when I
the emotional
ran,
brain.
I was cowering
This
and
means you'll have
afraid of
less
it.
anxiety and depression
Anxiety
and
needs
anger
you
to
to
deal
be
with.
scared of it.
To
I booked
engage
out
the
of that room. I
prefrontal
went down the
cortex,
hall.
you have
I
to
flew
do
down
something
those stairs
creative
and into
or
my
problem
car.
solving or
And I
organizing
put the car
or
in
planning.
reverse and I looked in
And
the
as a
rearview
bonus,
mirror.
these things connect
And
you with
guess
your
what
skills
I
and
saw?
abilities.
My
But in
face was
addition to these
pale
kinds
and
of
my
actions,
neck
you
was
could
long.
also engage the mind in
And
a
I
story.
took a breath and I looked at
Fiction
my eyes
rocks.
and I took
Humans
another
are
breath and I thought,
storytellers. It's the way our
I
minds
look
work.
just
It's
like my
how we
dad.
remember things. And when
I
you hear a
learned
story, you
this.
often get immersed in it.
And if I
It
learned
can
this thing
provoke
called
new
anxiety,
perspectives.
maybe
You can
I
learn
could unlearn
skills or
it.
be inspired by the
So I
characters.
committed to doing just
Reading or
that.
listening to
was person
novels
number
is
one.
often what I
said,
recommend
I'm
to
not going to live
clients
like this.
who are
I'm not
having
putting
a
my family through this.
particularly
I'm not putting
intense
my husband
anxiety
through this.
episode.
I'm going to commit
It gives
myself
your mind
to do
something to do
whatever I
and
need
gives
to
you a
do
break
and
from the
figure
negative
out
thinking.
how to get rid of
I'd
it.
even recommend a Netflix
And over the
binge
next couple
because
of years,
there's
I
a
figured
difference
it out.
between
I figured it out.
purposefully
I
getting
figured it
lost
out
in a story
until I
and hiding to
completely
avoid things.
got rid of my anxiety.
If you are giving your
for good.
mind something to do to stimulate
It has been
that is a
such
good
a relief
thing.
not
It's
to live
all
like
about
that any
intention.
longer because it is the
You want
worst
to light a
feeling
fire under
that you
yourself.
could feel.
You want to give yourself
And you
some
don't even
brain
have to imagine
activity
what I'm
to get you
talking
moving,
about because I
engaged,
know that you're
and
listening to this
interested.
podcast
You'll
because
have less
you have been
time and
there
less
and you have
inclination to be
experienced it.
sad or anxious or
But lucky
angry.
for you, you do
Your
not
mind
have to
won't
wait a
act like
couple
it has to
years and
protect you
figure it
because
out
it'll
all by
know that you're
yourself because
thriving.
I did that work for you.
The second
And now
way
I'm
to
just
stop
delivering it to
overthinking
your door
is to have
or to your
compassion
ears.
and
All you have to do
understanding
is
for yourself.
go pick up my book,
When you
pick
are
up
feeling
this
bad
podcast,
and then judge
get
it,
yourself
then worry
better.
about it. Those
Here
negative
are the 5
self-judgments
stages
and worry
that I used
make
to
you
get myself
attach
better.
to
And
that
in the last 20
emotion
years,
more
I've helped
fully.
thousands of my
Check out these
clients
two
get
examples.
better too with
Wow,
these
that hurt.
same 5
I totally
steps.
get it. I totally understand
Here's
why
the
I
5
feel that
steps.
way.
1.
And then this
Understand it biologically.
one. Wow, that hurt.
2.
Oh, why does
Learn
it
the
hurt me?
lies
Why am I so
that it
sensitive
tells.
all the time? Why
3.
am I such a jerk?
Cultivate
And
your
people
control.
always never like
4.
me, and I
Make
wish I
peace
didn't
with
do that,
yourself.
and I messed up.
And 5.
You could see the difference,
practice
right?
happiness
When you start
habits.
to judge and worry,
Let me
you
say
are
those again.
giving the power
Understand the
to the
biology.
monkey.
Learn the lies that it
Before
tells.
we end this episode,
Cultivate your
let's
control.
talk about the best
Make
way
peace
to
with
change your
yourself
neural
and
pathways.
practice happiness habits.
Neural pathways are pathways
peasy,
that your
right?
brain has created
So not something
what it does
incidentally.
often.
These are the 5 chapters of the book, and each of the 5 chapters of the book has 7 different sections in it.
If you have a
So
habit
there will
of
be
being
35
negative
more
or having
episodes of this
anxiety,
podcast.
your brain will
because
get there
you read
faster.
a section in the book.
This
and then
doesn't
you come
mean
on over
it has
here,
to
and
stay
I'm
that
going to give
way
you a little bit
because you
more to
could
help you
change the
really
pathway.
integrate into your
However,
brain and your
because
body
there's a
and your
groove,
spirit.
it's a little bit
get you
harder.
better,
It takes a little bit
faster.
more effort and a
These
lot of
steps are
repetition.
safe, they're practical,
So I'm
they
going to
are
give you
doable.
4 reasons
And I don't
why
think of any of it
laughter
as work
is the
because
best
yes,
way
there's
to
effort
change
and
your
there's
neural
practices.
pathways.
But
And the first
you're
reason
doing effort
is because
anyway.
it increases
You're
your
probably
neuroplasticity.
on a hamster wheel doing all of
Neuroplasticity
this
means that your
efforting,
brain has
but not
ability
getting
to
anywhere.
change. And laughter really increases that ability
easier
to change,
than having
which means
anxiety.
the effort will be less.
Not much is harder
and
than
the
having
repetitions
anxiety.
will be less.
So don't balk at the practices.
The second
or the
reason
work
why
that you have
laughter
to
helps
do to
you
get
change
better
beliefs
because
and
I'll
change
tell
your
ya,
neural pathways
it's
is
worth
because it gives you a positive
So
affect.
no more excuses.
Affect means mood.
Anxiety wants
when you're
you to
laughing,
make
you're having a
excuses,
positive
but
experience,
excuses
and that
don't
positive
serve you.
experience is going to lend itself
And remember,
to changing
you
your neural
deserve
pathways
to get help.
for the better.
You deserve it because
The third way
this
is that
anxiety,
laughter
this
is an
depression,
energy
anger,
release.
irritability,
It's
whatever you
cathartic.
have,
You're relieving
this
yourself
is
of a
not
lot
your
of
fault.
tension that has been building
In
up,
the first
and that
chapter,
really
you'll
helps you
learn
have
that
more
anxiety
bandwidth
comes out of a
to change
context
your
of our
neural
modern
pathways.
world, not
And the
because you're
fourth
weak
way
or you're
is
inadequate.
that laughter brings
It
a creative
comes
spark,
from a
which
context.
connects you to your
I also think
prefrontal
it's important
cortex.
for me to remind
Usually
you
you're
that
laughing
this
at
series
something
is
clever,
not
like a pun or a
replacement
play on words,
for getting
or there's
yourself
some
help.
connection or reference
I just
to
read
an
a
inside
statistic
joke that
on
taps
average,
into your
people wait
intelligence,
11
which
years
lights up
before
the
getting
prefrontal
help
cortex.
for their mental
and in
health.
general, we
11
really
years.
have to lighten up.
That means
because our
half of them wait
problems, our
longer
anxiety,
than
our
11
depression
years.
are very
Don't
serious
let that be
dudes.
you.
And
A
that
lot of suffering
seriousness
can happen
really
in those 11
calls our
plus
attention.
years.
It's like you got to
A
pay
lot of
attention
life
to
and
me.
opportunities and good
giving
joyful
attention
times
to the anxiety
that you could be having in those
is
11
exactly
years.
what
And
anxiety
you
wants
deserve
you to
to
do.
have those.
And
So
exactly
get
what
some
you
help.
don't want to do.
Now, I know people enough to be guessing here that you might have been hurt. And that
Thank
might
you so
make
much
you
for
wanna
listening to
isolate
this
yourself
episode
or pull
where
back
you learned
or
about the
not
monkey
try to
mind,
get help from
how
other
it
people.
intensifies your problems,
Maybe you think you're unworthy,
how to stop
or
thinking,
maybe you
and
think
why
that you're
laughter
bothering
is
them.
the best medicine.
Please don't do that.
Again,
You are not
leave me a
bothering
5-star
them.
review on
I
Apple
know you're
Podcasts.
trying to protect yourself or you're
Like,
trying
share,
to
and
protect
subscribe,
them,
and get
but
all
you
the
are making
resources
yourself
that I
hurt
spoke
so
about in
much
this
more.
podcast in the show notes.
Exponentially
Stick
more.
with me. Coming
And
up
you're probably
next
making
is
other
chapter
people hurt
1,
too because
section
they're worried
2.
about you or they're missing
This is
you
gonna
or
shock
they
you,
think that you don't
but
like
it
them.
will be okay, and
When
you
you're trying to
will
get
be
help,
okay.
look for the
I'll
good
meet
people.
you in the next
They're
episode.
there. Don't go to someone who's not trustworthy and say, see, everyone hurts me. Look for the good people. Mr. Rogers says, find the nice people. There are always nice people. And you know what? You have skills in observation. I know you do because you're sensitive. You have a sensitive heart. So use those skills in observation to find the good people. Now, when you're trying to get rid of anxiety with all the practices that you're learning and it's not going away, you may start to convince yourself that it won't work for you, that you're different somehow and you just don't get it. When people feel that way, I've noticed 4 reasons why they haven't gotten rid of their anxiety, and I made a video on it. And I'll put that in the blog post, and the link is in the show notes. Here are the 4 reasons why people keep their anxiety. 1, they're still scared of it. Anxiety needs you to be scared. We'll go more and more into that later so you really understand that one. It feeds off itself. It's your fear of the anxiety that causes the anxiety. So you have anxiety about anxiety. If you are afraid of anxiety, it will stay in your life. And that's a hard one because it's so awful. Of course you're afraid of it. In chapter 1, I will explain to you how not to be afraid of it and how to navigate around being afraid of it so that you could get rid of it. The second reason why people don't get rid of their anxiety is because they don't like themselves. You can't not like yourself and get rid of anxiety because if you don't like yourself, then you don't trust yourself. And then you don't think you could handle anything. And of course, you feel incredibly vulnerable when you think you can't handle anything. So it's a playground for anxiety. And the third reason is that you're staying still. When you stay still, you're giving all of your brain space to the anxiety to wreak havoc on you and take you down the rabbit hole of negative thinking. You need to do something that's engaging enough that it takes up your mind space so that anxiety does not have that space anymore. And the last reason that people keep their anxiety is that they don't believe they could get rid of it. You have to believe that you can get over anxiety to get over anxiety. If you don't believe that you could get rid of it, you keep it. And this is the thing. In this book and in this series, it is my job to convince you that it is possible because I know that to be true. I've seen it happen over and over and over again. These steps are repeatable and they work. Let me tell you, this will work for you. You're going to find that in the book and in the series that I repeat myself a lot. Yep, I'm going to repeat myself. I'm going to repeat myself. I'm going to repeat myself a lot. That's because anxiety repeats itself and negative thoughts repeat themselves. They're like a broken record, so I'm going to dish it right back with the truth over and over. Finally, I'm ready to tell you about my formula for happiness. You're probably thinking, what is that? What is a formula for happiness and why do I have to learn about it? Well, when I was trying to heal myself from anxiety, I did all the self-help books and the retreats and the classes that I could find because I wanted to get better and I wanted all of the information. And I started to notice a pattern in the content of all these books and all these classes. This was it. First, you have to get rid of the things in your life that make you suffer. Then you have to bring into your life the things that give you joy. And then you have to practice those two things every day. So I started to understand that as the formula for happiness. So first, you get rid of the things in your life that make you suffer. We live in this world with lots of things happening that feel out of control. They keep coming in and we're energetically affected by those things. This means you have to continually release them. You don't heal and then you're healed forever. Even when you've healed certain things from your past, there's more things coming in all the time. If you make letting go and clearing these things out a daily practice, these heavy energies won't even root in you. You'll learn to release them before they've even had a chance to affect you for too long. Don't worry, I'm not going to turn you into a callous and cold person. This practice will give you the coherence and capacity to be even more compassionate, more helpful, and more generous to others without depleting you. Next, you bring into your life what brings you joy. And this is what people are often confused about. Some people who are sad or anxious feel very different. They see the people around them and they look happy and they look confident and they look like they're born that way. And then you feel different. You have a problem. You think, if I wanted to be happy, I'd have to work really, really, really hard on being happy. And that just doesn't seem fair. That thought process hurts you and it's not true. People who are happy, they generate their own happiness every day. Nobody is just happy by accident and no one's just born happy. They have to do something to bring that happiness into their life. Everybody has to work at it. And I do understand that it is often much more effort when you have anxiety or when you have sadness or when you have other problems or experiences in your life that has pushed you down. It is more effort and it's the brain being very efficient. So if you have one way, one familiar way of being, going to the negative or going to thinking bad stuff about yourself or something, then your brain makes a groove in that direction so it can get to it more efficiently. It's not permanent. You can change it, but while you're trying to change the pattern to a happier groove, it does take extra effort, but with repetition, it changes and soon the happier pattern is easier. Our brain is malleable, but we just don't know it is, and that's why I'm telling you. That need for repetition will help the third step in the formula for happiness make a lot more sense, because the third step is to practice. You got to keep practicing. You have to keep the self-care up. You have to keep practicing those happiness habits that we're going to talk about in Chapter 5. You deserve to take care of yourself in that kind of way. You don't have to do this because you have a problem and you're different than other people and you have to do all these extra things. We all have to take care of ourselves. This world is crazy and we have to take care of ourselves. You are not different and strange. You are part of this human family and we all have to practice these things to take care of ourselves. Practice means that things don't just come to us with intention. We have to put the action behind it. I love this quotation by Frederick Douglass. I prayed every day and nothing happened until I prayed with my legs. When you set the intention and have expectations that you'll meet that intention, you will take the next right action to realize it. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Going along with the introduction of anxiety, I am so done with you. With me, Dr. Jodi. In this episode, I shared my anxiety story. And you heard the 5 steps that I developed for getting rid of it. Then I told you why anxiety sticks around for some people. And finally, I shared my formula for happiness. Please leave me a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, like, share, and subscribe, and grab a copy of the book if you don't have it yet. Next, in Chapter 1, you're going to learn the neurobiological response to what is going on in the context of our world. Coming up next is Chapter 1, Section 1. Read it, and I'll meet you there.